Good morning TSAT viewers. I am Manideep and now I am going to explain about RBI and its functions and credit control functioning of RBI. Now first of all let us know about what is RBI, what is a central bank and what are its uses. Now getting on to central bank. Now central bank, what is a central bank actually? Central bank is as production of goods and services are increasing in today's world day by day, transactions are necessary. In order to carry out those transactions, an apex, transparent, autonomous organization is required. Such an organization which carries all the functions of a bank is called as central bank. Now, why do we need central bank? Central bank it gives the same uses as a CEO for a company and a prime minister for a country. It just manages. Now what does it manage? It manages our country's money and everything, and the loans that are given to the government and financial establishments given by the government. Now having known what is a central bank, now, do we have a central bank? Do we Indians have a central bank? Yes, we do. Reserve Bank of India is a central bank of India. It carries out all the functions of a central bank for our country. Now, let us go a little deeper into the origin of RBI. In 1926, during the British rule, the Britishers established a commission known as Hilton-Young Commission. It was headed by Hilton Young. It is also known as Royal Commission on Indian Currency and Finance. This commission made recommendations for the necessity of a central bank of India. Under these recommendations, they said that there is a requirement for central bank in India, and all the bank facilities must be provided in India. In order to go for these recommendations, the Britishers passed a bill in 1927. In a legislative assembly, but because of non-agreement between the people in the legislative assembly, the bill did not become into an act. In 1934, again the same bill was introduced, and this time the bill was passed into an act, and this act is widely regarded as Reserve Bank of India Act of 1934. This is the most important point. 1934 Reserve Bank of India Act. Due to this 1934 Reserve Bank Act, Reserve Bank of India was established in 1935. And before the establishment of RBI, did we have a central bank? Yes, we did. The central bank prior to the establishment of RBI is Imperial Bank. Imperial Bank carried out the functions of a central bank till 1935. Imperial Bank was established in 1921 by merging three presidency banks. Those presidency banks are Bank of Calcutta, which was established in 1806, Bank of Bombay, which was established in 1804, Bank of Madras, which was established in 1843. By combining all these three banks, Imperial Bank was formed. The Imperial Bank was the biggest bank in India until 1935. After 1935, due to the Reserve Bank Act, Reserve Bank of India became the Central Bank of India. Now let's get a little deeper into what is RBI. Initially when RBI was established, it was owned by private sector, that means private shareholders. It started with a share capital of rupees 5 crores. Now after the independence, the government passed Reserve Bank Act in 1948 and took over RBI from private shareholders after paying appropriate compensation. In 1948, after independence, the government of India wanted to take control over RBI. So they passed our Reserve Bank Act in 1948, and they took over Reserve Bank of India from private shareholders before which they paid some compensation to all the shareholders. Thus, nationalization of RBI took in 1949. So this is an important point, guys. Nationalization of RBI took place in 1949. From January 1st, 1949, RBI started working as a government-owned central bank of India. Before 1949 January 1st, RBI was owned by the private sector. Now after January 1st, RBI started working as a government-owned central bank of India. Now, having learned the origin of RBI, let's get a little deeper into the organizing structure of RBI. Now, RBI is divided into 4 organizing structures. They are the Central Board of Directors, the local boards, Central Office Department, and training establishment. Now, let us learn about each one organization little deeper. Now, Central Board. What is a Central Board? In this board, members are nominated by central government for a period of 4 years. Now, Central Board of Directors take care of all the works being done by the RBI. These members should meet at least 6 times in a year or once in 3 months. Now, the Central Board of Directors consists of 2 types of directors. They are official directors and non-official directors. Now, let's get to know about official directors. Now, official directors consists of a governor and not more than 4 deputy governors. It is a rule that there must be only 1 governor and the deputy governors must not cross more than 4. This rule was passed due to Reserve Bank of India Act in 1934. Now, as you can see, the present governor and deputy governors. The present governor of RBI is Mr. Urjit Patel, and the 4 deputy governors are Sri S.S. Mundra, Sri N.S. Vishwanathan, Dr. Viral V. Acharya, and Sri B.P. Kanungo. Now, prior to Dr. Urjit Patel, Raghuram Rajan was our governor. During the reign of Raghuram Rajan, Urjit Patel acted as one of the deputy governors of our RBI. Now let us learn about non-official directors. Now, in non-official directors, it consists of 16 members. The 16 directors are 10 directors from various fields. They are elected by the Government of India, and 2 finance ministry representatives, 2 representatives from the finance ministry, and 4 directors from 4 different local boards. Now, going into the local boards, there are 4 local boards which are representing 4 regions of the country. They are Mumbai from the west, Chennai from the south, Kolkata from the east, and New Delhi from the north. Now, getting to know about Central Office Department. The Central Office Department, it consists of 22 regional offices, most of them in state capitals. Like we are having one regional office of RBI in Hyderabad. So the same 22 regional offices, most of them are established in state capitals. Now we are going to learn about training establishment. RBI has 6 training establishments. They are: number 1, College of Agriculture Banking. The second one is Bankers Training College. The third one, RBI Staff College. The fourth one, National Institute for Bank Management. The fifth one being Indira Gandhi Institute for Development and Research. The sixth one is Institute for Development and Research in Banking and Technology. Now, having learned about the organization structure, let's get a little deeper into the functions of RBI. Now, let us know about functions of RBI. Before going to know about RBI, what are the functions of a central bank? A central bank is an independent apex monetary authority which regulates banks and provides important financial services like RBI functions are like issue of currency, development role, banker to the government, banker to bank, regulations in banking system, custodian of foreign reserves, and credit control. Now let us learn about each point in detail. Now, issue of currency. RBI has the sole right to issue currency notes except 1 rupee notes which are issued by Ministry of Finance. Now, in our country, RBI only has the right to issue currency notes, except for 1 rupee notes which will be issued by the Ministry of Finance. RBI has the right to print currency notes up to rupees 10,000 according to R.B.I. Act. Now, RBI has the right to print currency notes up to rupees 10,000 according to R.B.I. Act. Now, this R.B.I. Act which was established in 1934. Now, getting into the development roles of RBI. This role refers to the development of the quality of banking system in India and ensuring that credit is available to the productive sectors of the economy. Now, RBI looks after all the banks throughout the country and their development in banking sector. Now, RBI also acts as a banker to the government. In 1935, RBI on its inception became the banker and debt manager to the government. Now, all the transactions of Government of India are carried out by RBI, Reserve Bank of India. It acts as a banker to the government. As per the RBI Act 1934, the central government entrusts RBI with all its money, exchange and banking transactions in India and public debt. That means according to the RBI Act of 1934, all the transactions and the monetary functions of Government of India are carried out by Reserve Bank of India. The government also deposits its cash balances with the Reserve Bank. Now, having said that RBI acts as a government for central government, does it act as a bank to the state government? Yes, it does. RBI may also act as a banker to the state government. That means all the state government's monetary functions can be carried out through RBI. Currently, RBI is acting as a banker to all the state governments in India except for the Jammu and Kashmir. So, in our country, all states carry out their monetary functions and transactions through RBI except for Jammu and Kashmir. All the other states carry on their monetary transactions through RBI. Now, having acted as a banker to the government, RBI also acts as a banker to the banks. That means RBI enables smooth and swift clearing and settlements of interbank transactions and provides efficient means of funds transfer to all the banks. That means all the banks, according to the RBI Act, all the commercial banks in our country must and should have an account in RBI, and they must be recognized by the RBI. RBI carries out the smooth and swift transactions between inter-commercial bank transactions will be carried out by Reserve Bank of India. It enables banks to maintain their accounts with RBI for statutory reserve requirements and maintenance of transaction balances. Now, we will know about statutory reserve requirements and maintenance of transaction balance in the next coming slides. Now, regulations in banking system. RBI carries out rules and regulations for all the commercial banks in India. In 1949, the Banking Regulation Act was enacted, which empowered RBI to regulate, control and inspect the banks in India. That means all the banks in India are to be controlled, regulated and the transactions must be controlled by Reserve Bank of India. The Banking Regulation Act also provided that no new ban or branch of an existing bank could be opened without a license from RBI. That means no new branch of a bank of an already existing bank, or no new bank must be created without a license from RBI. Each and every commercial bank, in order to get certified as a commercial bank, it must have a license from RBI. And no two banks must have common directors. The common directors must not be for any two banks. Now RBI also acts as custodian of foreign exchange reserves. That means RBI also takes care of foreign exchange money. RBI acts as a custodian of the country's gold and foreign exchange reserves like the US dollars, Japanese yen, British pound, etc. obtained by the government in international trade. Now in international trade, as we know, RBI is the sole organization which has to take control of the value of rupee. Now it has to take control of the value of rupee according with the US dollars, Japanese yen and British. Comparing our Indian rupee to the US dollars, currently our Indian rupee value is so less than the US dollars. So in order to increase the value or decrease the value, RBI must carry out all the functions. In India, RBI has the responsibility to maintaining the exchange value of the rupee. Now getting into the important point, the most important function of RBI is credit control. By using credit control methods, RBI tries to maintain monetary stability. Now what is credit control? The control of the functioning of money and supply of money and the monetary transactions throughout the country is called as credit control. Now let's get to know about the methods of credit control. There are two methods of credit control. They are quantitative methods and qualitative methods. So basically credit control is divided into two methods. They are quantitative methods and qualitative methods. Now let's get to know about each method. Now in quantitative methods, it consists of 6 methods. They are cash reserve ratio, which is also known as CRR, statutory liquid ratio, which is also known as SLR, the bank rate, repo rate, reverse repo rate, and open market transactions. Now let's get to know about each point clearly. Now cash reserve ratio, it refers to the portion of total deposits in commercial banks which it has to keep with RBI as cash reserves. That means all the banks in India must have an account within the RBI and must keep some money in the form of cash within the RBI. That means all the money of the banks must be kept in the RBI and in some required ratio. That ratio is called as cash reserve ratio. So cash reserve ratio means basically all the banks must keep their money within the RBI. At present, cash reserve ratio is 4%. That means 4% of the money within the commercial banks must be kept as in an account within the RBI. Now let's get to know about statutory liquid ratio. Now statutory liquid ratio means each and every commercial bank must keep the liquid money, the liquid deposits, liquid assets such as gold, bonds and security bills, etc. within the government owned RBI. So it must be kept in a liquid ratios that are gold, either gold or GOI bonds or treasury bills. At present, the statutory liquid ratio is 20%. That means 20% of each and every commercial bank's reserves such as gold and etc. must be kept within the account which they have within the RBI. Now, bank rate. What is bank rate? Bank rate is the interest rate at which RBI lends money to commercial banks by rediscounting eligible bills held by the commercial banks. Now, simply what is bank rate means? During the shortage of funds, commercial banks borrow money from RBI. The rate of interest at which the RBI lends money to all those commercial banks by rediscounting its eligible bills is called as bank rate. As it is rediscounting those eligible bills, this bank rate can also be called as rediscount rate. At present, the bank rate of RBI is 6.25%. That means the interest which the commercial banks has to pay for the RBI when they borrow money from RBI is 6.25%. Now, having known about the bank rate, let's know about repo rate. Now, repo rate is the rate at which RBI lends money to commercial banks in event of any shortfall or funds. Repo rate is used by monetary authorities to control inflation. Now, actually, what is repo rate? What is repo? Repo means repurchasing agreement. Now, what is repurchasing agreement? In the case of shortage of funds, all the commercial banks they borrow money from RBI by selling their bank securities, like all the documents they sell within the RBI with a agreement that they will buy all those sold documents within a limited period of time. So as they are coming into an agreement with RBI such that they will buy their sold securities, that means they are repurchasing their sold securities. So this agreement between the commercial banks and RBI such that they repurchase their sold securities is called as repurchasing agreement. So finally, the rate of interest at which RBI lends money to commercial banks in an agreement that they repurchase all their securities is called as repo rate. The present repo rate is 6%. Now, as we know, the repo rate and bank rate does look similar, but there is a difference. In bank rate, RBI lends money at an interest rate which the commercial banks must pay by rediscounting their eligible bills. In repo rate, there is an agreement that they will buy their securities again, but in bank rate there is no such agreement. So if there is no agreement that they will buy all their securities again, so the bank rate is a bit different from repo rate. The present repo rate of RBI is 6%. Now let us get to know about reverse repo rate. Now, as the name itself mentions, reverse repo rate, it means it is quite exactly opposite to the repo rate. Sometimes in repo rate, the commercial banks borrow money from RBI. In this case, in reverse repo rate case, RBI borrows money from the commercial banks within the country. It is a monetary policy instrument which can be used to control the money supply in a country. If RBI doesn't borrow money from commercial banks, these commercial banks have the freedom to give give away loans as it wishes. So in order to control the money supply within the country, the money being supplied within the country, reverse repo rate, RBI chooses reverse repo rate. At present reverse repo rate is 5.75%. So having said, now let's discuss during inflation time. During inflation time, the bank rate, repo rate and reverse repo rate, these three rates, the RBI increases these three repo rates to check the supply of money and the money transactions going on within the country. As RBI checks this money supply by increasing these three rates, inflation comes into a control. That means inflation decreases. Now another important function of RBI is open market transactions. It refers to direct sales and purchases of securities and bills in the open market by RBI. That means in an open market throughout the worldwide market, RBI only has the authority to sell direct sales and purchase of security and bills. The aim of these open market transactions is to control the volume of credit in an economy, to control the monetary supply and to control the monetary transactions in a country. A central bank chooses open market transactions. Now having known about the quantitative methods, now the qualitative methods, let's get to know about the qualitative methods of credit control. In qualitative methods, there are four methods. The four methods that RBI chooses to control the credit in an economy through qualitative methods are: the first one being moral suasion, the second one is rationing of credit, the third one direct actions, and the fourth one marginal requirements. Now let's get to know about each of these methods in detail. Moral suasion. Moral suasion means persuasion and request. To arrest inflationary situation, RBI requests commercial banks to refrain from giving loans for speculative and non-essential purposes. During inflation time, RBI requests all the banks to decrease their loan, to decrease the amount to be given in loans to the members of a country. To arrest inflationary situation, these RBI requests commercial banks from giving loans. It requests such that it's more or less similar like requesting or pleading. The first time it pleads all the commercial banks to not give extra loans for all non-essential purposes. On the other hand, to counter deflation, RBI requests commercial banks to extend credit purposes. That means during deflation, having known about inflation, now during deflation, RBI requests the commercial banks to extend credit. That means during inflation, RBI requested to decrease the credit control, and during deflation, RBI requests the commercial banks to increase the credit so that deflation comes to a control. Now, rationing of credit. This method is used by the Reserve Bank of India to limit maximum amount of loans and also in certain cases fixed ceiling for specific categories of loans and advances. Now RBI controls credit and it regulates each and every bank to limit maximum amount of loans. That means the maximum amount of loans that can be given by commercial banks to all the persons in a country. RBI regulates and keeps a limit on the maximum amount of loans which are to be given. They fix ceiling, they fix the maximum amount that has to be given for special categories of loans and advices. RBI makes credit flow to certain weaker sections by changing concessional rates of interest. Now RBI gives loans to weaker sections of the community with a minimum amount of rate of interest. That means RBI is making money flow to certain weaker sections of the community by giving them loans at less rates of interest. This method is also called as priority sector lending. That means RBI has chosen certain weaker sectors as their priority and is making the money flow towards that sectors. So it is making some priorities and it is making the credit flow to those sectors. So as this making of priority, this method is also called as priority sector lending. Now direct action. This method is adopted when a commercial bank doesn't cooperate within the central bank in achieving the desirable objectives. That means RBI takes direct action on those commercial banks which does not follow the rules and regulations set by Reserve Bank of India. This direct acts may be in different forms, like it can cancel the license and it can decrease the rate of interest of that particular commercial banks. Central bank may charge a penal rate of interest over the bank rate upon those banks. That means the RBI may charge high rates of interest over the bank rate upon those commercial banks which does not cooperate with RBI. Central bank may refuse to rediscount bills of those banks which are not following its directives. RBI may refuse to rediscount all the bills that are given by the commercial banks. Those commercial banks which are not following the direct orders of RBI, RBI refuses to rediscount their bills. Now, marginal requirements. While giving loans against stocks or securities, commercial banks keep margins. Margin is the difference between market values of a security and its maximum loan value. Commercial banks in India, commercial banks also have a right to give loans to people. So, what is margin? So, for example, for a loan to be given, they have people have to show some security, and if for example, if a person is taking a loan of 8,000, he must show some property as a security. For example, he is showing a 10,000 rupee property as a security, and he wants only 8,000 rupees of loan. So the difference between 8,000 rupees and the 10,000 rupees security is 2,000 rupees. This 2,000 rupees is called as margin. So RBI regulates all the commercial banks within the country to set only the specified marginal requirements. So these are the functions of RBI, the credit control functions of RBI. Now, having known about what is RBI, its origin, its organization structure and the functions of RBI, let's get to know about some interesting facts of RBI. Now, the first point being, RBI was the banker for government of Burma, which is now being called as Myanmar, until 1947, and offered central banking services to Pakistan until 1948. Not many knew in our country that RBI acted as a central bank for Burma, and it also acted as central bank for Pakistan until 1948. After the independence, within a period of 1 year, RBI also acted as the central bank for Pakistan. After 1948, RBI established their own State Bank of Pakistan, and it being the central bank till date. Now, as we can see here in this slide, this 10 rupees note of Burma, and here is a 5 rupee note of Pakistan. These notes are being given by Reserve Bank of India. These are the notes which were in use when RBI was the central bank of both Myanmar and Pakistan. Now, RBI during its establishment, it was headquartered in Calcutta, and it was permanently moved to Mumbai in 1937. The first headquarters of RBI were in Calcutta. In 1937, the headquarters were moved from Calcutta to Mumbai. Here we can see the Calcutta headquarters of RBI. The next point is RBI's Nagpur branch holds the biggest chunk of India's gold deposits. Now, RBI branch of Nagpur, it is a regional office branch. The regional office branch of Nagpur holds the biggest chunk of India's gold deposits. That means India's gold deposits in a major deposits, they are found in Nagpur branch of India. RBI keeps all its major gold deposits in Nagpur branch. Now, in order to create awareness among the people about fake notes in the market, RBI launched a website called as www.paisaboltahai.rbi.org.in. Here you will find detailed information on how to spot fake currency. So, for people who are having a problem in finding fake currency and fake notes which are prominent in nowadays, they can go to www.paisaboltahe.rbi.org.in, the website, and in this website RBI provides all the how to check the fake currency, all methods. Now, getting to the next point, RBI, Reserve Bank of India, has the authority to issue banknotes of denominational values of rupees 2, rupees 5, rupee 10, 20, 50, 100, 500 and 1000. So, 5 rupees, 10 rupee, 20 rupee, 50 rupee, 100 rupees and 500 rupees and 2000 rupees. So, these notes are being issued by the Reserve Bank of India. Previously, it was 500 and 1000 was the highest denomination of Indian currency. But after the demonetization, which recently happened on November 8, 2016, the government demonetized 1000 rupee and 500 rupee notes. 500 rupee notes were reintroduced with a new design, and 2000 rupees were introduced in the place of 1000 rupee notes. Now, having said that, RBI has a responsibility to print notes. Government of India is responsible for designing and minting of coins in various denominations and printing rupees 1 rupee notes, not the RBI. RBI has only the authority to print notes, but not it cannot mint coins. So, the 1 rupee coin, 2 rupee coin and 5 rupees coin, the coins we are seeing prominently these days, RBI has no right to mint them. Only the government of India has the right to mint them, and the 1 rupee notes are not printed by the RBI. Government of India prints the 1 rupee notes, and the signature you can find on the 1 rupee notes is of the Central Secretary of Finance Minister. Now, coming to the logo of RBI, the logo of RBI was copied from East Indian Company logo, double mohar. So, the East Indian Company logo was double mohar. It consists of a lion and a palm tree. So, the RBI copied the same logo, but it just with a slight adjustment of lion, they changed into tiger. The tiger and palm tree is the logo of Reserve Bank of India. So the financial year of RBI starts from 1st July to 30th June. Unlike the economical year, which starts from April 1st and ends on March 31st, the financial year of RBI is from 1st July to 30th June. The first woman to become the Deputy Governor of RBI is Mrs. K.J. Udeshi. She was appointed in 2003. The first woman Deputy Governor of RBI is K.J. Udeshi. Now, Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was prominently our Prime Minister, he was the only RBI Governor who became the Prime Minister of India. The only Prime Minister of India who also acted as the RBI Governor is Dr. Manmohan Singh. Now coming to the demonetization, RBI demonetized notes in the denominations of rupees 5,000 and 10,000 in 1938. They were reintroduced in 1954 and again demonetized in 1978. RBI can print these notes of 10,000 and 5,000 according to the RBI Act of 1934. Now the first Indian to hold the position of a governor of RBI was Mr. C.D. Deshmukh. The first governor of RBI was Osborne Smith, who was a Britisher. He was the governor during the private shareholders bank, and Mr. C.D. Deshmukh was the first Indian governor of RBI. He was the third governor overall, and it was in his rule, that means it was in his tenure, that RBI transitioned from shareholders institution to government owned organization. RBI has 29 offices in India, which are mostly located in the state capitals. So the regional offices of India are mostly located in state capitals. So that's the end, my friends. So let's recall what all we have learned. We have learned about RBI, the origin of RBI, the organization structure of RBI, the functions of RBI, and the credit control being the most important function of RBI. We learned the different types of credit control, and finally we learned about some of the interesting facts of RBI. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for TSAT channel for giving me this opportunity, and the College Commissionerate of Education. Thank you.